Hey guys, try by. Before I get into the video, I also wanted to point out that if you learn key binding, like I did talk about in my edit mode video, that you only need to keep cooldowns visible, and you don't really need to keep your regular abilities visible, and you can keep them off your screen. So I still have dash on my regular bar, right? But I have it here too, and this is just for tracking. There's no bindings on this one. You could put bindings on this one. There's no bindings on this one. I have everything hidden, and I have them in an order I'd like to track them. So just keep that in mind that if you keybind, you can keep your UI a lot cleaner. All right, I'll continue with the video. Hello everyone, it's Drive-By. I'm back to talk about probably our most important topic, which is going to be key binding. There's two ways that people do this. They usually either click or they keybind. And by clicking, I mean they use their mouse and they bring it down here and they use their abilities like so. Nice. So, clicking is 100% without a doubt inferior to key binding, right? Because not only do I have to calculate the amount of time my mouse will travel, but also my eyes have to leave this area to come down to the space. Then it's a matter of accuracy. I have to accidentally I have to click the proper one. And it's Murphy's Law that one of these times I click Ice Block when I meant to hit Alter Time. It's just going to happen. But it doesn't really happen when I have key bindings. They're a little more accurate and dependable. I'm not saying you won't fudge some buttons every once in a while, but not nearly as much as clicking. The potential is significantly lower. It is significantly faster, right? And I can keep my attention in front, so I can be here, and I can use my abilities, and I can turn, right? Here, right? It's good. I can click and have my mouse already set when I'm going to use an ability, right? See that? I don't have to click the ability and then drag it and place it out. I can just place it. And I hope you can see how this is powerful. If you're already a 2K player, then this is going to make you a 2.2K player, right? Easy, right? You already have the knowledge. You're already good at the game. You're just missing one very fundamental thing, and that is key bindings. And it's easy. It's really easy to do. I will let you know that I use a Naga Razor. It doesn't mean that you have to. It's got 12 buttons on the side. If you look at the main action bar, there are 12 icons, right? So this is 1 through 12. Of course, they use 0, dash, and equal, but that's 10, 11, and 12 on your mouse. All you really need to learn for the bulk of your abilities is 1 through 12 on your mouse. And it's pretty easy to do because you can, if you're using a Naga Razor, you can just hit enter and just go 1. Hitting equal or 12 should be just as easy as hitting 1. I'm not a big fan of putting your big, most popular abilities in the front and your not so popular, commonly hit ones in the back. I actually think that I can hit my equal as easy as I can hit my 1. So I can hit my spell steal, which is dash or 11, just as easy as I can hit my counter spell, which is 2. I think it's so easy to practice that you should have it all down. Next thing I'm going to talk about is something called modifiers. So when we have 12 buttons, we can make it 48 buttons, right? All we have to do is think about adding shift to the beginning. So shift and then 1, shift then 2, shift then 12, and then all of a sudden different buttons. And you'll see that on my next row. Shift 1, shift 2, shift 3, shift 4, all the way down to invisibility, mass invisibility. I have my little rocket jump down there. It's no harder to hit for me than it is for me to hit Dragon's Breath, right? So that's the shift. And then I use the Alt for my next modifier. So I'll use Alt 1 all the way through 12 or equal. And then you can even use Control I actually don't use control. It's just an extra modifier for me if I wanted to. And right now I'm currently using it for, if you paid attention to my other video, I'm using it for my focus, which I'll use in arena. So if you needed more modifiers, you could take that off, make focus macros, which we'll do in the next video, and use control as a modifier as well. I just don't need to. I think this expansion has less bindings and less bloat, even though mage is probably one of the most button intensive classes there are right now. Let's get into a couple of concepts. I'm going to open up my menus and I'm going to go to key bindings on the left hand side, and we're going to look at movement. And typically, and this is where change it, and this is something you can think about, I recommend it. Typical movement is WASD in pretty much every game that uses keyboard movement. And every game I play, I take those buttons and I move them over to the right one. So I use ESDF. Why? Well, if you go to WASD, you'll notice that you run into a line of buttons on the left side: tab, cap lock, shift, and control. And your fingers kind of jammed up against them, and you lose. Your pinky is actually a really strong tool for hitting more buttons. So if you move over one button, your pinky now has access to the A button, which I use for Healthstone personally, and it has a little bit less. It's a little bit less compressed and can do shift, control, and cap lock, and maybe even alt a little bit better. You could use your ring finger for alt too. In addition, it's often not talked about, but you actually get to go further down on the keyboard 1 through 12 if you weren't using the Naga Razor, which is perfectly fine. You don't have to use the Naga Razor. I just like it. There's other brands of mouse you can use that do the same thing. You're looking for a 12-button mouse. I've had this one for a really long time. It's done really well. So yeah, if you move your buttons over one, you can actually reach further down the keyboard on the right and get a little bit more access to, actually a lot more access. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, with this tactic, you can add at least 5 extra binds to you, which, if you listen to my last thing, 5 binds is actually 20, right? So 5, then shift, all 5, and then all 5, and then control, all 5. It's 20, right? So keep that in mind. We'll keep going down. The back button, remember I removed it before. As we go down into targeting, you'll see where I use it. Right now, we're just going to leave it empty. You can keep it if you want. You're just going to have to find another button for it to do. And then I just explained all this. Jump, actually use my space bar for to target nearest enemy player. I only use it if I'm like in a battleground and there's somebody really close to me and they go to cast really quick and I didn't have them set as focus. I'll just tab rather than click, and it's pretty dependable. If there's too many targets around, then I might just use my battleground enemies, which I'll get into in add-ons to target, or maybe I'll click them. Maybe. Probably not though. Hence why I just explained the space bar to you. So anyway, I put jump on T because it freed up my space bar for tab target. It felt a little bit more natural. And T's really not that bad, right? I liked it, but that's personal preference. I'll go down and go to auto run. I use C, which is right under my back button, where my backward button would be. For you, if you're using WASD, it would be the equivalent of putting it on X. So I have it on C for me. I think it's a good auto run button. I don't want to hear about people who are using the toggle auto run and clicking and saying that it's a good substitute, because look deep in your heart, it has ruined you, or it inevitably will ruin you if it hasn't yet, because that's just too much to manage. What about when CC comes in and you have pressure on you and you have to be able to focus your mouse on moving, your eyes on taking in information, and need to be able to let your hands do what your brain says, right? And you can't do that if you're clicking. Just listen to all the professional streamers, right? There might be like a couple clickers, like 2 or 3 clickers that are at close to the top, but they're the best. The majority of the best in the world are going to tell you the truth. If you're clicking, change the binding as soon as possible. It is the only way to do it. And don't just do it for a week and say, oh, I can't find my buttons and my DPS drop. Do it for a month and practice. And I'll bet you if you practice after that first week, you'll be feeling pretty good. You'll be feeling pretty good. Start with one character and then move on to the next one. All right? Or just stay with one character and get those bindings really tight. Get really smooth. Make them an extension of your body. So move on to interface, game menus, escape. I'll go down, opening bags for B is a pretty good one. Toggle character pane. That's going to be your character information sheet with your abilities. I like having that bound. Spell book, that's where you're going to find all the things underneath of it. Profession, you don't need to bind these individually. I just bind the spell book. I never actually use this key binding. I'm bind. I usually just click it down there because how often do you really need to pick up to open an achievement frame in an emergency? Quest log can be found on the zone map when you open it up. So I rarely open that up. If I want to look at my guild and stuff, I just click it down there. It's not a big deal. I will use this button I. I'll use that quite a bit. That's how I'm going to get. When I get out of an arena, I usually go right back into it. When I get out of Battleground, I go right back into it. I like the hotkey for that. So I is the good hotkey. Let's keep going. Let's look at action bar. Okay, so this is your main action bar. This is this one down here where I have my fire blast and all that. 1 through 12. I have it bound simple. It's easy to remember. It's not sloppy. That's why I like the mouse. Alternatively, you're going to have to go learn bindings on your keyboard that you can work with. But you're going to need 12 of them. You're going to need 12 of them. And then you're going to be able to, you need to be able to modify them with the shift, control, and alt. So they can't be in an area where your hand's compressed. If you have a programmable keyboard, then that is awesome. And you're going to be able to move things exactly where you want them. And make a profile on your keyboard that is just for World of Warcraft, so you don't have to stick to any rules. You can put your hand in the middle of the keyboard and you can make A. The A button is now your control button. If you gotta do that, make it your own. Just make sure you know where they are. If you don't know and you're just getting started, go with the Naga Razor. If you have the Naga Razor, stop using the first 6, use all 12. Get really smooth with it. All right, special actions here. It's going to be like stances. This is your pet bar. I don't have any pets on this character, so I don't have any bound, but if you wanted to control an aspect of the pet, you could have this here. Action pages, we actually got rid of the scroll wheel, so we don't use these at all. Same with these, none of these. I don't need to toggle self-cast. Let's go to extra. Okay, these are your next ones, right? If you want to know what number your thing is, you can just go to edit mode, hover over it, and it'll tell you. I have them all kinds out of order, which is wonderful. But you see this is the main action bar, and then I use 4, 3, and 5, and you could probably be a little bit more organized than I think just in time. It's just kind of gotten mixed up from me working on it. So I don't use the action bar, the second action bar currently, but you could. The number doesn't really matter. Whatever action bar you choose to use as your second row, I just take it, or the second row, I just take it and I slam shifts all the way down it, and now it's a whole new row. And same with the third one. I slam all the way down it, and now it's a whole new row. I'll keep going down. And then this is my 5th action bar, and this is a lot of my things that I have on my keyboard bound to modifiers. So you can tell that I really, just remember I'm using ESDF, so I'm 1 over. I really like to use X, Z, A. Not so much W because that's my my world map, and I actually have control bound, not so much W, Q because it's my world map. And I actually have programmed W to be control for me, but you don't have to. I used to use my pinky for that. But if you're thinking you want to bring control a little closer, it's a really nice button. Then I got Shift A. I use the tab button, right? And then I just have that's my cancel ice block or cancel alter time, one of the two. I can't remember. I can remember it's cancel alter time, but then I'll go down. I got Alt Z, and then I'll use my cap lock for. I use that as my cancel cast. So if you're in like icy veins and you're casting while moving, you have no way you can't cast it by just moving forward. You have to hit cancel cast to juke someone. So keep that in mind. You're going to need a cancel cast button, which we'll get into in macros. Keep scrolling down. I think that's all of them. That's all of our key bindings for our game. So 1 through equals, 1 through 12, shift through 12, alt through 12. And if you needed more, you could do control through 12. You just can't have control on the focus in your options. You can't have control as the focus modifier. Let's keep going. Chat. I don't really mess with the chat very much. You can make this whatever you want. Just make sure it doesn't interfere with your bindings. There's no overlap. When you do overlap something or you remove something, it'll say down here what it was, and you're going to have to go back and fix it because that's annoying. Get really comfortable with your key bindings and where all these settings are. The navigation titles are really, really useful. And then here we go. Target nearest enemy. That's going to target the nearest enemy, whether it's a pet, a player, an NPC. It'll target it. Target previous enemy will go backwards. It'll target the one before that one, so you can kind of cycle around. Scan hold. I've never used it, but I've seen it used, and it's like you hold it and it'll keep cycling through the players. It's too slow for me. I don't like it. Same with this. Target nearest friend. I do not use this. I pretty much just use party frames and raid frames and macros to target my friends. But it will target the nearest ally. It will target the latest ally if used previous. And then here's the good ones. Target nearest enemy player. Now that means that when I tab target, or for me spacebar target, I won't target their pet. I'll just move to the next player, which is pretty useful, especially if there's a lot of writing together and you're just or there's something real quick you had to do. It can really help. So target nearest enemy friendly player is the up arrow. I don't use it. Like I said, targeting friends, I click the party frame, or if it's an arena, I'll use a party 1, party 2 macro. Let's keep going. I don't need to target pet. Here's another good binding. You need to free up your mouse wheel because it's good for a lot of things. And you can use control, you can use modifiers with your mouse wheel. So this is target arena enemy 1. So that would be the one at the top. Push it in, target arena enemy 2. That would be one in the middle. And then down would be target arena enemy 3. That would be one at the bottom. And I used to hate the middle mouse button because I used to like roll a little and target something else, but actually mice have gotten a lot better, and the middle mouse button is actually a reliable button. Scrolling down, then I would set focus. I use this for 2s mostly, but I used to use it for 3s, so I still have a control mouse wheel down. And when I hold control and I use these mouse wheels, it'll take that same arena enemy from the last one, except it'll make them my focus and not my target. Pretty simple. Show all nameplates. It is very annoying when you accidentally hit this button, so know where it's at. You'll be like, I can't see their name. You know, it happens. This is my interact with target button. It's alt mouse wheel up. That's like when you see a little cube above something, when you walk up next to it, that's how I will, that's how you can interact with it. And it was my idea behind picking up flags, and we talked about it in the PvP settings video. Assist target, I actually use assist macros, so we'll get into that. In the next video will be macros. Pet attack. This is bound, but I actually use a macro for pet attack. And a lot of these I'll use macros for because they're a little cleaner and a little bit easier to control and alter. And then here we go. We're to the good stuff. Now, focus target. I just used the default one for this. What was our back key is now focus target. So if I'm on a target and like this, and I'm fighting him, and I want to make him my focus, look up here. I can just hit that button. He's my focus. You can also notice that my plater, it's little lines through him, so I can tell he's my focus. So that's how I do that. I think it's really powerful, and I think it's a good use for that button. But you can probably find another creative way to use that button. Like maybe you put your health stone there. Maybe you put your ice block there. It's a little aggressive, I think. But maybe you have that kind of discipline that you can afford to put it there. Target markers. Target markers are the little emblems that they put beside the nameplate, supposed to help you see where they are. I don't have any of these bind, man. You can just right click on them and you can add target markers to them. Right, so let's add one to this dude and see what he looks like. See, you see a little skull. This way, when there's a big grouping, you can kind of be like, oh, there's my hunter, Lucy Hunter. Oh, he's got a skull on him. All right, vehicle controls. I don't use any of this. You don't need to use these. You can actually just use your mouse to aim things. Camera. All right, here we go. Zoom in, zoom out. I use page up and page down because I zoom in and zoom out so infrequently that I can actually afford to be like, let me just push these buttons. I recommend this. It keeps it out of the way. You don't want it on your mouse wheel. You'll accidentally zoom and you'll be constantly fixing it. You should be zoomed out at all times. Unless you're RPing. Minimap zoom in, zoom out. It's on my number keypad. I've never changed it because it just doesn't affect me. Your minimap should be zoomed out unless like you're looking for ore or something like that, or you're looking for a quest giver or a certain player. You can zoom in, see a little closer, then zoom out. And the mouse wheel actually works on that, even though it's unbound for a character zoom. It works on this, so keep that cooking. Toggle music, Control M. Toggle sound, Control S is really good when I get like a phone call or somebody's trying to talk to me. Add-ons. We'll talk about add-ons another day. And then I have these extra bar 1, 2, 3, 4. This is an add-on that gives you extra action bars. I use it just to keep things like keep my disenchanting up here, my tailoring up here, and things that I actually will click. I use these extra bars for because Mage had a tremendous amount of bars. Okay. So I've gone over modifiers. I've gone over why you should change. I've gone over modifiers. I've gone over how to practice them, right? I've gone over all the bindings in the menu and maybe some cool things to change, like the movement or the focus or how you should really think about your things. I've also you saw me unbind some things as I went through. I was like, why did I have this bound, right? So know that you'll never be as good as you could be if you do not start binding your abilities. And if you haven't made the full move yet and you're teetering and you're playing and you're trying to wean yourself into it, just cut it, just rip the band-aid off and just do it. And just go to that training dummy and just beat the crap out of it for 3 hours. Hit all your abilities. Look at your abilities, and in your head, just say them. I want to use I want to use mirror images. I want to use goblin jump. I want to use presence of mind. I want to use greater invisibility. I want to use, and don't get to the point where you don't have to look at your bars as you say them. And then if you're really crazy, I could have my girlfriend come in here and she could just list. I'd be like, hey man, here's some things, abilities. Listen to me, and I would just hit them, and you will just get it. And then when you go to move to another character, put abilities of the same thing, and we'll get into this when we talk about multi-classing, in the same spot, and it'll be like it'll just be natural when you go to play a different character, right? It's the same. Like when you click, when you first start clicking, you're like, you still have to like look around. It's the same thing. So don't get hung up on your clicking. All right. I hope I helped with everything. I hope you make the change. If you don't believe me, don't take my word. Go look at any streamer. Go on Twitch right now. Ask the top streamer. Click or keybind. See what he says. Then go to the next one. Ask him the same thing and see what he says. Then ask him why. He won't even answer. He might not even answer you because he thinks he should know already. He already told you, right? So you guys have a good rest of your day. I hope that you keep this in mind and then stick around because I'm going to go over a macros video, which I have to keep referencing a video that I don't have. So I'm excited to get that up. All right, guys. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. If there's something you want me to add, I will happily do it. I have to redo all these videos at some point. See ya.